5:30, time for division of utilities. Mr. Geller.
It should be a pretty quick meeting tonight. Just kind of going to go over a few things that discussed earlier and so forth. I was out all last week, so really only had about 3 weeks worth of stuff happening while I was around. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started on water. I'm going to update you a little bit on the water tank that's being designed by ADR. We have been discussing the ability to put solar power at the new tank site to power possibly the mixers, SCADA, hazard warning light, and census meter reading equipment. Also, do we want the system to completely self-sustaining with no connection to the power grid? In other words, a total battery backup system that would work strictly off the solar, or connect to the grid for backup. I have a meeting Tuesday, and I'm going to talk about the solar, possibly putting solar on the top of this tank. My personal opinion is that we should always have electrical backup. We shouldn't just rely totally on solar power. But that is some of the things that we're going to discuss tomorrow in the meeting.
Anybody have any ideas the opposite of that?
Anybody heard anything?
Given the number of sunny days we experience in Ohio, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
One.
Great. First one in June, maybe, huh?
Generator?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. It would be a small generator up there because you're not really powering a lot. Inside the tank, there'll be a mixing unit that mixes the water. It's not like you think. It's not like a washing machine or something like that. It's very, the movement of the water is very slow. And we want that because we don't want a lot of mix. We just want that water to move around a little bit, and so that we get somewhat of a mixing ability in it.
How much battery storage do you think you need?
How much what?
Battery storage.
I don't know. You know, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Because battery technology is moving so fast.
Yeah. That's...
You would get away with just...
And then the other thing we're going to discuss too is it worth the one-time cost? I mean, how long is it going to be before we get our money back by saving electricity on the solar power? You know, we got to look at the cost aspects of it too. So that's what we're going to discuss tomorrow. The engineer called me today, and I think he was fighting it a bit. I was off last week, and he was wanting to discuss this, and so so that's. I'll bring you more up to date after my meeting tomorrow. Another thing, could we utilize existing tower and building to save money at the site? What I want you to realize is there is a tower there. There is a building, a block building there. However, it's not on our property, but it is on the North Telephone Company's property. Well, now it's Windstream. So we are discussing not putting any kind of antenna on the tank. When you start putting antennas on tanks, and then you have to maintain that tank, you get to tear everything off of it. So we don't want to see a lot of different things being on the tank. Everyone that I've talked to says keep antennas off the tank. So we were talking about some kind of a pole or tower anyway. We're also discussing some type of an enclosure there that would house the SCADA system. It would also house the census meter reading system that's going to be there. So that's all exists there. So there's some negotiations going on with Windstream right now in the process with the city and with Windstream on negotiating possibly buying this additional ground and moving forward. And I think you guys might have acted upon some legislation on that.
Maybe we did.
Or
Purchase it.
Yeah, you can fill out legislative question.
Purchase? We
Yeah.
voted to purchase it, John, for $8,000.
$8 grand, what do we get for it?
$8,000.
You get the whole ball of wax.
Not the door.
Yeah.
We'll get everything.
You get everything. But
We
we have
just
to
go out
kind of,
and
we have to
let's see
kind
what
of
it
tread
costs.
lightly on that. There's a lot of interest in that piece of ground for some reason by a couple other different people. That's why things have been moving kind of slowly. Don't want to talk too much about it in this meeting, just that we're looking at that. I know you guys moved on with legislation while I was gone last week to hopefully purchase that, but there is definitely benefit to purchasing that ground because of the antenna and because of the block building. Block building was inspected by the engineer and also the antenna. The antenna is in good shape. Not the antenna, but the tower is in good shape. I mean, it's got some rust on it, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing that can't have a little bit of work done to it. And then also the building is an all-block building. I think basically the roof needs to be replaced on it, and it's a pretty sound structure. So, just kind of wanted to mention that. Don't want to get into too much detail on it. I'm guessing the building.
500,000?
Oh, no. It's like 15 by 15.
Oh.
It's just a building that housed equipment at that time. Nowadays, with all the way, equipment is now, I mean, the SCADA system box is probably about that big. And, in this new system, I don't anticipate it being a whole lot bigger. I mean, so there'd be plenty of room in this building. Another thing that we could put in this building is a pressure transmitter could possibly go in there too that relates the pressure back on the tank. So what that does is it tells us what the footage is in the tank. So just
Will
wanted
it need
everyone-
to be climate controlled?
Yeah, probably would be climate controlled to a certain extent. Yeah, I would guess that it would have to be. Yeah. It couldn't be too cold and it couldn't be too hot in there.
Did we wait a second reading on that?
Yeah, I got everything, legislative requests, I think you're done. It's a done deal. We can act on it, whether or not the deal's made or not, that's still, I think, up in the air. I'm gonna have to talk to the mayor on that.
It wasn't, why would we, for money, if the deal wasn't,
Well, the deal is supposedly done, but I don't think all the T's and everything's been done. Yeah. I was kind of shocked because we went from not interested in selling to interested in selling, and then would you make an offer? And then things kind of move forward from there. But then there's other people that have some interest in that too, and where they're at on that grid. Hopefully, we should be ahead of all of them, but until we sign on the dotted line.
Purchase contract?
Huh?
We have executed purchase
No,
contract?
not that I know.
Well,
You got
that-
approval to do it, but I don't think it's been.
why would, if we didn't have that, then why would we have,
I would rather know.
why would we be passing an ordinance when it's not a done deal?
Well, he couldn't purchase it though until we passed the ordinance.
That's
so,
correct.
I mean, he couldn't enter into a contract
You,
to purchase.
you purchased,
That
you
the
approved the,
contract would have had to have been,
you approved the money, and you let the mayor sign the agreement. Now he needs to carry forward with that. As far as I know of, as far as I know of that, I don't think that's been executed yet. Unless, maybe I don't understand, but I gotta talk to the mayor tomorrow, but I don't think that's been done yet.
Well, how everybody else understood this?
there was a few typos in there, they had to change a few of the words and stuff, but other than that.
What did you understand, Terry?
I thought we purchased it for $8,000, what I thought we did.
Purchase it for $8,000.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. There was a copy of that laying on my desk, but I did not see a signature, and I did not see anything here.
Well, there was a couple of obvious errors, like the buyer was Windstream and not us.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, until I talk to the mayor,
This needed to be changed.
the mayor's on vacation until tomorrow. I don't know where that document's at. I don't know where it's at.
This offer
That's
will
all I
be
know.
not accepted by June 26th. So I mean,
We got
3 days.
got
We
3 days.
executed that
if there's a problem, we can undo it. That's what we were told.
What I have to find out is, did the mayor sign it and has it been executed and forwarded on to Windstream? I don't know that. I don't know that.
We executed it.
I do know.
He signed it and sent it on.
I do know that we moved quickly on it because we were wanting to get things purchased. I worked on the deal. And then while I was on vacation, the mayor carried on through with it, and I wasn't sure where everything went from that point on. I'll know tomorrow where we're at and what's been done. Next item, unless anyone has any questions on the tank. The next item is the automatic meter reading system. We had a meeting to discuss implementing the new meter reading system. The master project agreement has been signed by the mayor. Then I forwarded it on to HD Supply, or HD Census. Census will then sign it. And the way I understand it, everything's done on our end. We're just waiting for them to sign, giving us a copy of the agreement, and then things will start taking off. And the first thing that'll be done will the collector units will be set in. I do want you to understand that WCLT is a site of one collector right now, but then that site will change from WCLT to this new tank when the new tank's built. That's another reason why utilizing that antenna that's up there is kind of crucial if we can if we have that ability to utilize that.
Isn't it part of this property?
Mhm.
So we get all the fixtures and
You get it all.
improvements.
Whatever you get it all. You're set. Anyway, in the meeting, we met with Mike Truesdale, I guess is the way he pronounces his name. He's the manager, construction manager. We talked about how things would be carried out, how the clerks would be trained, the software, and how it would mesh together. And it was a preliminary meeting, but nothing could go forward from that meeting until everything was signed and moved forward. I called them today. They got the copy. They did sign it. They did get the copy of it. Now they'll sign it, send it back to us, and we're ready to go. So things are moving right along there. Also, approval of easements in the village of River Oaks. I think that's pretty much wrapped up. I looked at a drawing today. There was we're waiting the mayor's signature back on Eddie Hunt's table back there. There was some changes made, but we reviewed everything. It went from a 15-foot unit easement to a 20-foot easement, and both parties were able to agree upon what we were responsible for and what we weren't responsible for. I think if you would have signed it from the very beginning, you would have been responsible for everything inside the buildings, kitchen sink, all the plumbing and everything. But I think we came to an agreement on exactly what we were responsible for, and basically what we're responsible for is the 8-inch main. So the 8-inch main.
For the master meter?
No, we didn't put in a master meter. It's just the 8-inch main. Okay, they're individually metered.
How far beyond the 8-inch main?
The next phase will be master meter, as long as I'm here. It will.
So we approve that subdivision
It's waiting in there.
individually, in the first phase.
We basically had, first, it's set for a while, and Eddie can explain more on this, but we didn't get, it wasn't accepted by us. And how we found that out was we had a main break. We went in there and fixed the main break and then found out that we didn't need to because we never accepted the water line. It was never totally finished. So then when we found out, then they wanted to draw up papers. Well, when they drew up papers, when we started looking through things, there was more there than what met the eye. So what we did was we compromised with their attorney, with the attorney, and the attorneys got together, and then us, and we reviewed it, and now everyone's pretty much decided on what we're responsible for and what we're not responsible So I
Who
think,
takes care of the taps to the 8-inch line?
what's that?
Who takes care of the taps into the 8-inch line?
The owners? Yeah. We are, the way things are set up right now, the way I understand it, is that we are responsible for the main. Once it leaves the main, it's the condo.
We bill these folks, or they bill? How do we get paid for what?
Each individual unit is master meter, is metered, I
Yeah.
believe.
And
They get a bill.
each
They're getting
bill-
ready to put in another building, I think I just saw today. And how we charge them for that is, like if it's a 4-unit building, each one of those units is charged for a 3/4 inch tap. There may be, you know, that's how,
Do we get tap fees for all the other buildings?
yes. Yeah,
One tap fee per building,
per
per unit.
unit. Each unit
4 units
gets a
in
tap.
Or
We
two.
get 4 tap fees for every unit.
Each unit would be $2,500 fee, plus $300 meter.
For duplexes as well as quads.
Yep. No matter what it is. If it's 2 unit, it's 4 unit, it's 6 unit, each one of those units gets charged for tap.
For a tap. And a sewer tap too?
Yes. That's the way it was set up, that's the way we continue.
Now, it's already hooked into our sewer system.
And we are responsible for the sewer lines. They're totally responsible for the sewer lines. That was never.
For it getting to where our lines
If
are
there's a
at,
break in the sewer up there,
that's their baby.
it's their baby. The
Okay.
only thing we're responsible for is the water.
Okay.
And the reason how all that came about was because Mark Huggins decided that he wanted to make sure that the hydrants up there were maintained. And like we've discussed before, the streets are so small, I don't see how you get a fire truck back there to fight it anyway. It's not a part of fire truck. Anyway, I mean, that's
Some
fire-
owners there that are very scared of that.
Some fire
issues.
trucks can get back here. But
Our
I'm sorry.
homeowners are a little nervous about that aspect.
And this is my general opinion, and this is the way you guys gotta look at it, is it either all comply, all or none. Either it's all the cities, streets,
Yeah.
water lines, sewer, everything's put in the city specifications, either it's all or none. So, when development like that goes in, it's either they go by all city specifications, or it's theirs. And we have the meter out front, and we just meter them, master meter the whole thing, and then it's up to them to decide how they're gonna charge or whatever they're gonna do. We should never get into these predicaments where some of the stuff is ours and some of the stuff isn't.
Yeah.
It's either all or none. That's my opinion.
We just went through planning commission, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years ago?
Oh, at least, yeah. It was before me.
Didn't you have every department head typically review them and sign off on them? That's been incorporated from.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, but they decided to do this quasi deal where the only thing that we're accepting is the water line. Okay, so the streets were put in not to our specifications, the sewer line was put in not to our specifications, but the water line was. Okay, that's the only thing in that development that was put into our specifications. We reviewed that, and we accepted that, and that's why it's being accepted now. Otherwise, if we wouldn't have made that agreement back then, we wouldn't have even had to accept this. But back then, that's the way it was. I don't know why it was that way, but it was. I think because, you know, the condominium thing was kind of new to us, but even the developer said that this is a unique situation. Most of them have a master meter out front, and the rest of it's theirs. I mean, it doesn't get it. We don't do this. Some things are city, and some things aren't. So it's different from what even the developers used to see. I mean, according to the mayor when he talked to him. So anyway, it's all worked out. Just waiting for the mayor's signature, and then it will become our water line.
they in the phase 2 of this?
Yeah.
Not yet.
They're in phase
I think
2,
they are.
but
Not yet.
not yet?
Huh?
Okay. I don't
They
know
may have
what phase
submitted
1 and
plans
phase
for
2 is, but whatever's been put in now, I mean, I think they've got like a few more buildings they can develop.
I think 3.
Three more buildings they can develop, and then it gets into another. Whether or not it'll go to the next step,
Once they get
although
to the
it's,
next phase, they got to turn lanes and really,
They gotta put what?
left, turn lanes, left turn lanes.
one part of the deal.
How do you call that?
And the other part of the deal is, we need to do is master meter from this point on. It's theirs. If they wanna make the streets so small, or they wanna, whatever they wanna do, their setbacks from the streets, from the, wanna be closer, or they wanna try to jam more into that area, then it's theirs.
How does it ever sign
I mean,
The only problem with saying it's theirs, when there's a problem,
it's theirs.
it's theirs. But when the residents come here and sit in front of us,
You know, Matt, it's theirs. They need to understand that.
I know they need to understand it, but
They probably, I mean, that's the way it is in most condominium complexes. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's their, it's the
Hopewell Commons
association.
is like that?
It's their association.
They've learned that after they've signed on the bottom line.
Hopewell Commons is like that, Hopewell Heights is like that.
I believe so. Okay, planning of well number 10. I want to kind of discuss this a little bit. As I had discussed earlier, we do have a well at the 30-year mark showing signs of drop-off of production. We have hopefully found a location. Well, I met with Christopher Everett with Burgess and Nyepel to discuss location. We have hopefully found a location for the well number 10 in Hoback Park that we could utilize. We would need an easement from for a preserved location, not allowing any sewer lines or structures within a 300-foot radius of the well. I also talked with Dave Morrison to see if we could check on how that agreement is written, to see if we even need an easement. If you look at your last page, that's Hoback Park. And after walking and discussing and looking and trying to find out where our next well number 10 would be, if you look at the green dot, that is the location where we'd like to put well number 10. If you look at the red, that's the 300-foot radius. Everything within that radius, there can't be any sewer lines. There can't be any kind of a structure. So what I want you to remember is that if they come to you and they want to build more ball diamonds,
Yeah.
or they want to put in another septic tank, you know, a restroom area, or something like that, we really need to look at that.
I've already added.
I know that there's been some discussion about adding softball diamonds down there. First of all, I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's going to create more parking. I mean, honestly, I think Hoback Park is filled to the brim with sporting stuff. I think if they really want to build some kind of softball field, it needs to be thought about in another location, possibly one of the other parks, or something like that. But what we got to remember is, and what's most important, I'm all into recreation and everything like that, but you know, we've got to make sure that we have the ability to add wells as needed. If we encroach on that circle right there with anything, the EPA is going to tell you that you can't put that well in. Another thing that I want you to look at, if you notice property line 154, that is owned by the schools. If you look at 0 there, that's the Forey Preserve. So we'll have to get an easement from the school saying that they aren't going to put any kind of sewer lines or some kind of a structure within that, I don't know if you call it triangle or pie-shaped little section there, which I could never see the school ever doing anything with that piece of property or developing it. One reason is because it's in a flood zone. And in the same way with the Forey Preserve across. Now, the big question is on the Forey Preserve, the zero, the parcel there that you see, it's marked zero, and a little building there. The reason why I met with Dave Morrison is I'm not sure if we have control of that property. Well, because I think if you check on it, I think you've leased it. I don't know that you own it.
Yeah, I think it's like a 99-year lease.
It's a 99-year lease.
Probably Evans Foundation thing.
I know for me to try, I was trying to drill a test well over here, and I had to get permission from Mrs. Wallace, Sarah Wallace, to drill a test well in that facility. So anyway, just to kind of talk about on that lease agreement, and what I have Dave Morrison checking out for us is, do we need
That 300 foot.
that agreement? Do we need an easement? Or because we own that ground and we're in control of it, I don't know that we own it, or because we lease that ground and we're in control of it, do we need an easement? I don't know. That's something for,
When did the lease occur?
I would say
We didn't
within-
buy, the Evans Foundation bought that ground from Staggers. We never bought it. The Evans Foundation bought it and they gave it to us to have, to use, to whatever.
They leased it to the city.
But there's no money ever exchange or anything, but I don't think, the city doesn't have title to it.
for 99
For
years.
Reserve?
Huh? The Forey Preserve there.
He says it.
Yeah, that's part of the Forey Preserve.
No, that's part of Staggers, right there. That's the Staggers property. There. The Staggers owned that, Staggers bought all that property, and then he sold it to the Evans Foundation,
Right.
part of that. And that's not part of that's not part of the 300 Forey Preserve
Well,
acreage.
that little building there, Parks Department uses it to store stuff.
I know, but it's not part of the Forey Preserve, what I'm saying. It's not, there's two separate things we bought, property.
Well,
The
then
Forey
that's-
Preserve's
that's-
that big 300 acres of stuff we bought along the
That's
river.
not
stuff.
included on the 300 acres.
No, this is
Okay,
not,
then-
this is a whole separate piece from the 300 acres, completely separate.
So do
When
we
Scott
have any-
Staggers bought that property, he
Do
bought.
we
it
have
from
any
somebody.
control of that property?
Yeah, because Scott Staggers sold 40-some acres off to the Evans Foundation. They bought it, and then it's just like the park where the Forey Preserve is, or the park across from the or the high school football field.
Yeah.
That over there,
Yeah,
okay?
that's Forey Preserve.
Forey Preserve has that.
That's what the sign says.
Anything, and stuff like that, okay?
This isn't part of that.
No, not part of that at all.
Okay, but yet you're still saying,
What I'm saying is, okay, there's three things going on here. There's the Forey Preserve, forget that even exists. And we're not talking about that here at all. The next two things, the railroad tracks that used to go through there.
yep,
Okay, that's an Evans Foundation thing that they got, and we have an easement on that to maintain that.
okay,
Okay, then the ground on both sides of that,
on both sides. One
okay, that goes
closest-
through there,
Yeah.
Scott Staggers bought all that, okay? And then he kept his house,
Where the
and he did a lot
zeros
split.
are, right?
Whereas his house is up on the hill
Okay,
there.
My question is to you is,
Okay.
who's in charge of it now?
Okay, the city controls it. We don't own it, okay? We mow it, we maintain it, we do all the good stuff and everything on it and everything. We use it, but we do not own it. We do not have a deed to it. It's the same way over there.
Evans Foundation owns it.
Evans Foundation actually owns it.
That's why they told me to talk to Sarah Wall.
Yeah,
Because
and she's the chairman of the foundation. so.
Why are we doing all the expensive stuff like mowing it?
That's how the Evans Foundation does it. They give it to cities to do all that work and everything, and then they have the advantage of the property.
Do the same thing with the bike path.
The bike paths, the same thing, that's the same thing. It's, like I said, it's the field across from high school where we park cars at football games, anything.
Yeah.
We mow it, we maintain anything. We don't have a, the city doesn't have a deed to it. It says,
Okay, well, my question
on that
today
little part
is-
right there, the rest of it for
This is all Evans Foundation property.
This is.
It sounded to me like I'm gonna have to get an easement from the Evans Foundation.
This is Evans Foundation property. We probably have a lease.
Is there a lease on this portion too?
I think we gotta just.
Where the zeros are.
Where the zeros are, we have there's a document, I've looked at it before and stuff, that we have I don't wanna say,
We have
perpetual lien, yeah, the
The
city.
city.
Yeah. It's ours to do the building and everything, I mean, ours to do stuff with
Evans
it.
bought it, just like they bought the railroad,
Yeah,
okay? They're leasing it us for maintenance,
we have to maintain it, yeah.
period.
Yeah, we get the use of it, people get to maintain it, but we get to spend the money to maintain it.
So I guess my question is, what we have set up now, is that good enough?
No, I would, no, if you don't wanna make, you wanna make sure nothing ever happens with that, you need to get
I
a
think we
perpetual easement on that. Yeah, other question I have to you, where you got the green dot, the well that's inside the circle that's close to
That's
field
okay.
five.
That's okay.
That well's okay?
Wells can be within the 300-foot
Okay,
radius.
all right.
It's just other structures can't be within the 300-foot radius.
Okay, well, essentially, where that well is, all those, the ball diamonds, and everything are in the 300-foot radius of those existing wells. If you go to that well and you draw a 300-foot circle,
Which well?
the well
One
that you're
right there
saying,
on the
you know,
left.
there's a dugout and all that kind of stuff that's within 300 feet of,
It's gotta be in, the 300-foot radius is within the red zone.
John, hey, look.
the existing
John,
well, John, the existing well that's
That
close
is
to
an
field five.
existing well
That's an
right there.
existing well.
Right,
All
there
right,
is
so
stuff
now,
within 300
shouldn't
feet
there
of
be
it,
a
is what I'm trying to say,
300-foot radius
existing.
in
Now, if
that?
it's grandfathered in or what, but there's stuff that's,
Probably grandfathered in. There is, I would say, if you look at your 300-foot mark there at the bottom, you can kind of judge about what would be in that 300-foot radius. About the only thing I can see in that 300-foot radius would be that one dugout.
yeah, there's two dugouts.
Two dugouts,
First
that
base
would be
and
that
third
two
base.
dugouts. We probably got some kind of a waiver on
That
that.
other baseball.
I think we actually built it, never, no one cared.
You know,
Actually,
All you're really gonna have is fencing and a couple.
Yeah, there's fencing, there's things
Not like you're
there.
gonna have.
You can have
what
a-
I'm trying to tell you is, you gotta, when you start building structures within that radius, you gotta be real careful, because the EPA can deny you putting that well in there if there's something within that 300-foot radius. I'm sure they tell me they have waivers, depending on what it is. Like, evidently, they probably waived those dugouts and thought that nothing crucial would happen to the well by having those two dugouts there.
Right.
So the same thing would happen when I go to the EPA and say, this is where we're putting that well, right there. They will review what's in that 300-foot radius, and then they'll tell you, okay, you may have to get a waiver for, I don't see anything within that, but, or they may say, no, we won't allow it. I do know a restroom would be hard to get.
But like existing parking lots and blacktop and things like that, they're already within the circle. No big deal, right?
There's a road that runs through there, and that is within the 300-foot, not really a parking lot, even at this third well.
You got the bike path that runs through there,
You
that's,
got
Yeah,
a
the
bike
bike
path and
path.
a little parking area.
I think we'll be okay. I think all that's considered by that. All that's considered by that. What it is, and what's in that 300-foot radius.
John, if the two wells that are closest to that, they're good producers still?
Yes.
Okay, if you sunk this other one, would you start drawing water, I mean,
It's
Would
what
you
what they call a cone of influence, and every well has a cone of influence, and it's kind of like this. You know, the well's here, and you have a cone of influence, and it's affected. We are in a really good aquifer that a lot of that wouldn't be affected by that. By
I didn't
talking,
know-
by talking to the hydrologist,
Are you in the big engine?
well, there's a lot of opinion on what the big engine is. I mean, some people call it the big engine.
Underground river. My
Okay, well,
my
there's
brother-in-law's been in the.
There's no such thing as an
drilling
underground
business.
river.
That's what he says.
There's a formation of rock and sand that has a lot of water in it. A lot of people picture the underground river as there's an underground
Yeah.
river.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just
It's not that way. It's just a
immense
formation
water
of rock
formation.
and sand and
Yeah.
gravel that has a lot of water in it.
Holds the water.
That holds the water. We are in an extremely good aquifer. I mean, if you look at Licking County, we're within the biggest aquifer in Licking County. Our well field is. I mean, I looked at.
Yeah.
Sorry.
what's your timetable, like, would you think of?
2017.
2017, okay. What if, like, the 141, or 154 property, what if we would check with the school to see if the school would wanna either give us that, or,
Well, I would
you
say
know,
we-
and just take that whole property there?
Yeah.
That way we don't have to mess with even, because they don't care, all they do is they pay to have it mowed a few times in there to clean the brush out, stuff like that.
If they
They'd
would
probably
give
be
that
tempted
to
to have to
us,
get rid of
that would,
it,
or whatever, we would love it.
you know,
And
and That way we wouldn't have to hassle with it, you know.
So the only, that means the only thing, one we'd have to work with is the Evans
Yeah.
Foundation for that.
Yeah.
If you see that half moon right there,
Yeah.
we would just have to work with them on that.
We also have to do something with our lease, some kind of document, or.
I
We have
don't
a
know.
99-year lease on this, on the other.
I don't know if it's 99 or if it's till someone changes it or
This,
what, I don't know.
this is all the stuff that we're supposed to be checking into.
Yeah.
I mean, Lynn Hunt is supposed to be checking into that to see when it was drawn up, then we're gonna pursue what needs to be done in order for us to move things along on this number 10.
Are there any property taxes being paid on this 154?
I would doubt
Like
it.
the-
I doubt if the school's
School
paying
system has an
anything.
exemption, just.
Well, I would doubt if there's any in the zero either, in a preserve.
I bet there is.
I don't know. I have to look to see what they got it to be exempt for public use or not, I don't know. And see that 54 hooks over there, forward shouldn't be right.
That's what I was told by me is that the school was at. But yet I look over there on the old Monroe property there.
And they got 54 over there, and that shouldn't be right.
And I don't think that's correct.
Right now too. That house is actually for sale on that property.
Yeah,
That's why I wondered.
but
if
I
they
don't
had it.
think that it may be at one time it was owned. I don't know, how, but I don't think that property is owned by
There was a
that.
big thing,
I hope not.
people that donated where the school is now, that property was like a big, huge farm thing or
That's
something, you know what I
something
mean? Where they owned both sides of the, all that.
Like a tree nursery or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Monroe's was there, but I'd have to look at that.
And when we were in school, there was a nursery there years ago. Oscar Monroe owned it.
It'd be nice to know if there's been taxes. Maybe something like taxes.
I should have more information on
It's
that.
I've tried it, it's too complicated here.
Beach Road.
I gotta have bigger.
Okay. So that pretty much wraps up water. Anyone have any questions? Comments? Okay, move on to wastewater. Kenco Hydro Incorporated has been given the notice to proceed to start with the construction of the scum collection unit. Final comments were completed, although I found out that we've had some additional comments since I've been on vacation as far as some of the design aspects of the scum collection unit. Jack Brown, Scott Phipps, and also myself, we kind of worked on some of the stuff, getting it squared around for the actual construction. We are expecting it completion of it sometime in September of 2015, and then we will work with a local contractor to have that installed. Probably a mechanical contractor. Increase in plant capacity. I know we discussed that briefly. If you guys remember that a little bit. You know how we always have phone calls that come in and they're saying, we have an industry that has the capability of producing this much waste. And can you handle that waste? Well, we feel that we can. There's been instances when we've been able to treat up to 5 MGD, not for long periods of time, but still have the capability of doing that during storm events. And we're kind of rated that way. But what we're rated right now is 1.75. And we would like to increase that to 2.5. And in order to do that, we would have to work with an engineering firm for them to put the stamp on it and say, yes, that could do 2.5. And then we submit that to the EPA. What I want everyone to understand is that what it also does is it also brings down our concentrations for our permitting. So, we can increase a little bit our plant size, but our concentration limits for our outputs on certain things will decrease. So like if we have an ammonia level of, say, 3.0, then that would factor in by increasing that. We couldn't put anything out over maybe 2.1 or something like that into the stream. So that is what I found out by talking to the engineer. But I think it's something to pursue. I think we should think about maybe doing that next year to increase from 1.75 to 2.5. I don't think it's going to really affect us too much on our parameters. So
What's the engineering cost?
don't know yet. Haven't got an estimate yet on that. I will.
EPA charge more for permitting than larger capacity?
No. Well, yeah, there may be an annual dues increase a little bit.
That's what
There usually is.
I knew somehow this was gonna cost more money.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember on the permit.
I don't think it will unless it jumps up to a 4.
It depends on, I know they deal a lot with population on permitting, like the population of your city. It may not. I gotta look at the application for that. It only comes around every 5 years. So I'd have to look at that and see.
You'll probably take a new permit application.
I know that
I know
when
we
you
rated it
increase
3.
the amount of people in your city, your permit cost goes up. I know that.
Capacity, they're not gonna hit
The
you with it.
capacity,
You're
I
not gonna
don't-
dig in your pocket for that?
I don't know.
Really?
I don't.
Skepticism is.
I'd have to find that out for you.
When you have your engineer prepare the certification, will you do a report saying the concentration limits would be this, that?
Yeah, everything.
That'd be okay, or if you get to this point, then you might feel like an additional cost?
I've kind of discussed it briefly with our lab supervisor. He seemed to think that the 2.5 wouldn't really affect us a lot. I think it goes up proportionally somehow, or decreases proportionally, like we're at 1.75 and we're set at these parameters.
Yeah,
Then if
just
you
thinking of
increase to
treatment costs,
2.5, then,
particularly for something like ammonia.
what's that? I'm sorry.
I was just thinking of treatment costs, particularly for something like ammonia.
Yeah. Our facility should be able to take that out. Our ammonia levels are low enough now that I know what we put out is very good.
I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I know we're always well below what we're permitted for.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever violated it.
Not on ammonia.
So you're good?
Yeah.
Even our dissolved solids and stuff, we're always good on
Solids don't change. I did find that out.
that. Solids don't change.
Solids won't change, just concentrations like ammonia. Solids is a whole nother ballgame. That doesn't change at all.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, I do too.
If we get a replacement for Meritor property, for example,
Mhm.
that turns out to
Have that
be-
ability.
we want to be able to ramp up for that, we want to be able to ramp up for the continued growth of James Parkway, Thornwood Drive, whatever the Port Authority's looking
Yeah.
to do with Beaver Run Road and that whole intersection up through Pine. I mean, we've got to have the infrastructure ready, so we're not losing tiebreakers
I agree with you.
with the
100%.
Port Authority, et cetera, in the future.
I agree.
We want to be there. I want to, let's know what our upfront infrastructure costs are, engineering, EPA, et cetera. So we can plan ahead and budget ahead accordingly. Full speed ahead as far as increasing capacity. It's all part of industrial growth.
You're talking about increasing the capacity without any physical changes to your plant, too.
Yeah, you're not doing any physical changes. You're
Right.
just.
You
See,
have the capacity to do it, so.
What
Get
downgraded us?
certified for that.
Right. What downgraded us at 1.75 was that at one time they said we were going to have to put in a filtration system. Well, we ran that filtration system for a while, and then we found out that we could still meet all of our parameters without the filtration system. So what that did was that opened up a much better way of us treating, because we didn't have to send everything through a filter. We didn't have to do that because our solid concentration met EPA guidelines. So the filters went offline. Filters have been offline. It's there if we need it, but they're offline. They've been offline for ever since you've been there, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. I think it's been like 15 years.
15 years since I think they've used them. So Now, since that's offline, we have the ability to take hydraulically. We have the ability to take more in. And when I talked to the engineer on this, he said they do this kind of stuff all the time. I mean, we have the ability to increase it. Plus, we've made improvements. You know, we just went through a major improvement on the screens, on our treatment of the aeration tanks.
Yeah, we push a lot better, dissolved oxygen, we can handle that a lot better.
So, you know, that's never taken back into consideration. They set you at 1.75, and then until you do some major, super major increase, you stay at 1.75 no matter what. But we're saying that we could probably do 2.5 with no problem at all.
So what if we said we could go 3, we'll go 3, do we need major, where can we push the limit?
That's what the engineer's gonna tell you. That's the whole reason for their stand. I'm not gonna be able to do that, but the engineer's gonna be able to.
Understand. In other words, if we don't need to spend millions of dollars on major
Oh, no.
upgrade, why
Not take advantage?
Why
of it?
not take?
why not go
why
to
not
3?
Go to 3.
Why not go to 3?
Well, we may.
I don't know what the number
You
is.
know, what we gotta look at is that concentration thing, you know, the tightening of our concentrations, we gotta be careful there, you know.
But your engineer's gonna be.
We don't wanna be on the bubble all the time of having,
In or out, in or out.
yeah, we don't wanna be on the bubble of having, violations.
So go to 2.
So we
Well,
gotta pick a
metrics.
median.
We understand the metrics of what,
Engineer's gonna tell you.
how tight are we 2.5, how tight are we 3?
Mhm. That's what we'll look at.
Maybe
That'll be part of his job.
2.75. Yeah.
Sure.
Stay under
We'll
the
just pick a
3.
number. We'll just-
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
Well, that's
We're talking about
reasonable. Add a million to it.
2.5, go to 2.75.
A lot, that makes a difference too, is you don't know, you're increasing it, but you don't know what kind of business you're going
Oh,
to get.
yeah.
So you don't know what kind of
BOD load.
BOD loading
Yeah.
you're gonna get.
You just don't know. So, but believe me, if there's some major industry, we'll do whatever it has to be.
But you have a pre-treatment plan going on, and
Yeah, sure. We have one now. Okay, increasing scum collection, increasing plant capacity, replacement of sewer line on Indian Head Drive and Woodland Drive. Purchase order has been given to Leighton Excavating for the sewer line replacement at a cost of $49,680. Construction date should take place late August of 2015. I'm awaiting a confirmation back from Leighton Excavating on an exact starting date. Once we get that starting date, I will notify the customers of the construction. It takes in about 10 houses, I think, maybe not that many, maybe 8, maybe 4 on each
How long
side.
do they say to put it in?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
And we will have to work with the contractor 3 weeks. We will have to work with the contractor to make sure, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to pump the manholes while they're doing the work, and then at night they will hook back up, and we'll be able to go away. But then when they're under construction, we got things to apart, and what we'll have to do is, we'll have to have a back truck standing by there for a couple weeks probably, I'm guessing, to pump out the manholes through the day until they get things hooked back up. So we'll be working with the contractor on site, plus Nick will probably be doing the inspections, while he's there too. So,
More selfies than Nick, huh?
Nick does our inspection work, always has. So,
Yeah. I pray you need it this rain.
yeah, I'm hoping things will start drying up in August. I don't wanna get in those people's backyards, the way it's been here lately. So I wanted to bring you an update on that. We have some, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What are they doing up there now, Indian Head Woodland?
That's the gas company, and I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. I know that, we know that Leighton Excavating had talked to the gas company, whether they're trying to get some work done before we get in there and start doing some work. They may be trying to finish some wrapping some things up or making things better before, we get in there too, to start our portion of it. But that's what I'm guessing is taking place.
I thought that maybe that's what was going on up there now.
Not yet. It's going to be, but we aren't in there yet. In fact, I had a lady call me the other day and saying, why? She goes, there's blue flags in my yard. And I said, well, that's water. And she goes, well, that means you're doing the work down there. I said, no, we're not doing that work. That's the gas company. Well, then why's the blue flags there? And I said, well, we had to locate our water lines for them so that they could do their construction. That's why you see the blue flags in your yard, because we located where our.
For the oops process.
Or the oops process. So, anyway, so I had to kind of explain to her what was going on there. We do have some delinquents, I'll pass these around, and we'll submit these for your approval. If you want to look at any, there's 5 this month, and that will be forwarded on to the county auditor for, to be put on your taxes. And major fund group, if you look at the bottom, you can look at the major funds and how they're progressing. Things have been fairly good. One thing I want to remind you is some of the work that's being done on International Drive, the money on capital improvement funds on both water and wastewater, that's where that money is going to be coming from. I had a contractor the other day, he installed a water line and said, you know, I installed this water line, I don't really need to pay a tapping fee. And I said, well, you're not just paying a tapping fee. I said, you're paying for the ability to get water. You're buying into our system. You know, just because you put the water line in there to your facility doesn't mean that you aren't going to get charged a tapping fee. Anyone that pays a tapping fee is buying into the whole system. You're buying into the wells, the treatment process, the maintenance, and everything. So just because you ran a water line, so far, that doesn't mean that you don't get charged a tapping fee. So, but other than that, that's all I have for tonight. If anyone has any questions or anything you want to discuss, feel free to
Covered a lot.
Full report.
Anybody else anything? 6:22.
All right. Thank you very much.